I'm going to be doing the Ecomap discussion post number 1. So this is my Ecomap, and the person who I chose to focus on was Jessica. So I drew dotted lines on Sue, her sister, transportation, and her family. The reason why I drew a thick dotted line with her sister Sue is because her sister helps her with her son John. She is a caregiver and babysitter for Jessica and for John. I have a dotted line with transportation because it does mention in the case study that her car is not reliable for her to commute to work, and it does mention that it is a 35-mile distance, and it's not always reliable transportation, and there is no bus lines running through wherever she lives, through her neighborhood, to get to her job. And then I also have a dotted line with Jessica's family because it does mention in the case study that her mom tends to blame Jessica for John's autism and behavior at school. I have a line with crosses on it because her ex-husband used to be abusive to her and to her son John, and so she fears that her ex-husband might be a danger to her and John and her sister, especially given the fact that he lives across the street from her in the same neighborhood. I have a thick line with work because it's a strong and positive connection with work. Without work, she is not able to provide for her and her family. And son, John, it's also a thick line. Obviously, I feel like her life just basically revolves around John and getting the best that she is able to get for John. Also, John was diagnosed with autism, so she does also worry for him, trying to get him to learn at the level that he is supposed to learn in school. The theory that I chose to discuss is the applied systems theory from chapter 5. So the applied systems theory focuses on positive and negative connections. She obviously has positive connections with her sister Sue, given that she is the babysitter for John, and the negative connections with her family and her ex-husband. Some parts are dysfunctional. Obviously, the dysfunctional parts are with her ex-husband, given that he was an abuser, and that he may be a danger to her family. So in the macro level, to the applied systems theory, it states that society and institutions, communities, and organizations kind of make up that macro level of the theory. And I think it was very important. I think this part is very important because society and institutions, it does mention in the case study that Jessica received temporary assistance for needy families, the TAMF program, and obviously that deals with it in the macro level because it did help her get on her own 2 feet. It also did provide her with the job that she is in now, which is in a nursing home as a nursing aide, I think it was. Yeah. And the meso level, it states that the network, so obviously the networking with the TAMF program that she was getting assistance from was able to help her get the job that she has now, which is in a nursing home. And then the micro level systems, family, group, and individual. The family part is what I think of as her sister Sue. The article doesn't say it about any other family members besides her mom and her sister, but the family part is very important again because her sister Sue is able to help her out with picking up John from school, taking care of him, and babysitting him at night while Jessica goes to work in the evenings at the nursing home. So resources with the applied systems theory, there's natural, formal, and societal. So the natural resources come from family, friends, neighbors, coworkers who provide informal support. Again, her sister Sue, the TAMF program that was able to help her get up on her own 2 feet. Her sister who helps her babysit John. And formal or official organizations, associations, again, going back to that TAMF program, helping her looking for jobs and getting her stable. Societal, hospitals, legal services, and social security systems. Again, that goes back to the TAMF program. And I think this was also a very clear theory for this case study, because it states that the actual Ecomap would be chaos, disorganization, entropy, dysfunctional parts. And I think that's basically what Jessica, her life is. She has a dysfunctional connection with her mother. She has a dysfunctional connection with her ex-husband. She also fears that her ex-husband might be a danger to her family. So it's just chaos and disorganization. Not only that, but she doesn't have a reliable transportation to her job. So I feel like she worries constantly. And the ideal Ecomap would be having, a steady state, functional parts, where if she were to have her mom's support or her help, or maybe if her mom wouldn't be so negative towards her, then her mom would be able to help her just a little more. Obviously, Sue is a big help, but she also does worry that Sue may one day not be able to be her babysitter anymore. She wouldn't have to fear her husband to begin with, because they would be together if he would not be so abusive to her and John. And so the two metaphors that I chose was, the person is a living organism. That is from chapter 4, and I chose this one because it states that, like all others, it needs resources, has a life cycle, and problems when displayed. So obviously, without the resources that Jessica was given and is being given, she wouldn't be able to function her everyday life. She wouldn't be able to go to work. She wouldn't be able to, even maybe provide for her family. So I think the resources are very, very important in her life. And I think that the life cycle part of the metaphor, I feel like every day in her mind she's worrying, and it's constantly like a cycle. Okay, I hope Sue doesn't, I hope Sue is able to get John, or I hope I'm able to get to work today, and it's just every day a cycle. And also the second metaphor that I chose was, the environment is like a whole made of parts, functions. Damage to parts affects the whole. So every single part of her life is very important to her. Obviously, her work, her transportation, her ex-husband is even important, because she has to live in that fear that, okay, John, her ex-husband, may or may not be a danger to her family. Sue, her sister, is very important to her. Obviously, John is very important to her. So, everything that she does, every part of her life is very important. And if one falls, the other falls. Everything just has to kind of connect. Yeah, thank you for listening.